welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Shannon and I post lifestyle videos living in the city of Orlando. And today we're talking about something very different and something that I'm very excited about and something that is super close to my heart, and that is going to be reading, girls. I picked up reading when I moved to Orlando about 2.5 years ago, and I want to film a YouTube video for the girls and the gays that want to get into reading this year. You have no idea what to read. Reading seems really overwhelming to you and you just don't know where to start. You don't know what to do. And you see all these people talking about, like, you need to read ACOTAR, you need to read ACOTAR, you need to read ACOTAR. And that's the only thing that you're seeing is reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I'm here to help. I'm here to give you some titles. I'm here to give you some things and just some tips and tricks that have helped me over the last 2-ish years that helped me within my reading journey. Also, let's not talk about my self-tan hands. Let's not talk about it, but the nails are nailing, girls, okay? I have read almost 60 books in the span of 2 years. That is a lot. Do not compare anything to me. That is a lot of books to read over the span of 2.5 years. And I have found a love for specifically romance novels and fantasy novels. Those are the two genres that those are the two genres that I love. So this video is also going to contain titles of romance and fantasy. I am not a big nonfiction reader. I read a lot of nonfiction growing up and like going to ministry school and stuff. Ministry school is another video for another time, another story. And then I also don't really read like murder, mystery, crime. There are a lot of like subgenres, okay? For me, mostly romance, fantasy. So this should help you out if you have never read before, you don't really know what to read, and you don't want to be bored while you're reading. I don't want to be bored. This is fun. Reading is supposed to be fun, so we are going to get into this. The first thing we need to talk about is how you read, okay? This is very different from so many people. Everybody varies. Some people love a physical book, okay? She's fat, she's juicy, the pages just like smell so good. But some people love a Kindle. I am a Kindle reader. So if you want to get started reading and you don't know if you necessarily want to purchase a Kindle, I'm not saying that you need to purchase a Kindle, but this is what I purchased in order to get me started reading. You can totally purchase a physical book and go to the bookstore, make a whole day out of it, actually. Let me tell you though why I personally choose the Kindle over a physical book. For me, a physical book is very overwhelming. This can be for anybody. I've talked about this on my TikTok. A physical book for me gets overwhelming because the thickness of the book intimidates me. The second thing that really intimidates me is how small the words are on the page. I get very distracted. I get overwhelmed. I read ahead. I will spoil things for myself. And the words on the page are a little too small for me, okay? So that is why physical books are overwhelming to me. However, that is why I don't purchase a lot of physical books. But sometimes I just want to purchase them because look at this cover. Like, it's literally so cute. The reason I have a Kindle personally, I posted a TikTok about this and people were just like absolutely shocked and amazed because people make fun of me for how big my words are on my Kindle. And this for me is why the Kindle experience is so great. And also you can choose the brightness level. You can choose whether you want your background to be black with the words white. You can choose your different fonts. You can blow up the text so it's this big, or you can make the words, you know, nice and small. You can make it however you want. There's also a dyslexic font if you have dyslexia. And if these types of words in this style of font kind of intimidates you, there are also settings on the Kindle that you can switch out the font so that it makes reading achievable for you. That is why I like the Kindle. So that is why I felt like we needed to just kind of get this out of the way. Here's some things that I will tell you about this Kindle. Number one, this Kindle cover is from Page, period. Page the shop. They have some really, really cute Kindle covers. And also the Kindle that I have is a Paperwhite 11th generation. That is this one. I also have a Kindle Oasis. If you want a Kindle, you do not need the newest and latest version because these can be very expensive. If you want to get a Kindle, you can use a Amazon gift card. They're cheaper on Prime Day. You do not need a Kindle Oasis though that is $300. You do not need that. So that is besides the point. I personally like reading on a Kindle. Let's get into actually reading. And I have my phone out because there is an app called Goodreads. I'm currently on Goodreads. A lot of people are on Goodreads, and Goodreads is a really great app for you to follow your friends or for you to follow people that post reviews of books. You can also see what books are really loved in certain genres. You can see how highly they're rated, how many people have read them. You can also read what the book is about and see what piques your interest, you know, that sort of stuff. So Goodreads is a really, really great thing to maybe start scrolling on today. See what kind of books that you like, and then you can make your own profile and put things under your want to read list. I have a huge want to read list, whatever. On my Goodreads account, I have so many books, and we are just gonna go through some of these books today of books that I feel would be great for somebody who is just starting their reading journey. Some books are very difficult to read. Some books are super great. Some books have way too many pages for some people. Some books do not have the right storyline as a first or fifth book to read. I also feel like there's something we need to talk about beyond reading between a Kindle or a physical book. Is reading is also a lot about romanticizing it. I wouldn't necessarily say that I would be a reader if I wasn't romanticizing the time that I read. And something that I do every single night before I go to bed is I implemented this thing called Kindle Hour. Kindle Hour for me is law. In the land of Shannon, everybody abides by Kindle Hour. Kindle Hour is an hour I read before bed every single night. Nobody can contact me. My phone is on Do Not Disturb. Do not contact me. Everybody in my life knows you cannot get a hold of me past 9 p.m. It has significantly helped me calm down before I go to sleep. I'm the type of person where right when my head hits the pillow, my mind starts racing and I think about everything during the day. I think about everything tomorrow and I get panic. And I used to have really, really, really bad panic attacks when I first moved to Orlando. Like it was, guys, it was bad. And one of the things that I saw online was like, you should pick up reading if you're struggling with that. And it helps with escapism. It really does. And Kindle Hour for me, I have romanticized the hour before bed that I read. And what I do is I come into my room and I shower, I get in bed, and I have a nice little cute drink on my nightstand, and I dim my lights. I have light bulbs that you're able to control the level of brightness. I dim my lights. Sometimes I'll put a little Yule log on my TV so I have a little fire crackle and a little fire burning. And it's all about the environment that I set as I read that helps me truly unplug. It helps me truly relax. And that is why I love it. Have yourself a glass of wine while you're reading and make sure that the lights are set a little low. Who knows? Set on a little Yule log. Put on some nice music. I love the reading playlists on Spotify. Put on some of those with no words and just enjoy yourself. And I truly feel like it's also about the environment as to why I like reading so much. That I really romanticize it. And I think that that's also a really big part of reading. So now that we're done with how you read and the environment that you set as you're reading, we are now going to get in to the books. So yeah, now I'm gonna give you guys some recommendations of some books that I feel you should read under the romance and the fantasy. Let's start off with romance novels. I'm a huge romance reader. Romance is how I got started into reading. The book that I actually started reading, the first book that I read, it's called Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. And I'll have a picture of the book somewhere on the screen as we're talking about this. I read the book Reminders of Him, and I remembered reading this and thinking, this is what books are? This is what books talk about? This is books? And the storyline was just so beautiful. I literally have on my notes Ledger has me in a chokehold. This was such a good one and got me on my reading journey. Kenna's story is so gripping and had me on a journey with her, figuring out who she is outside of prison. It was about this girl named Kenna who was in prison, and she was falsely accused of this crime of killing her previous boyfriend, who was Ledger, the other guy who had me in a chokehold, Ledger's best friend. And so it was just a story of Kenna figuring out who she is outside of prison, and then Ledger figuring out, and they fall in love, and it was just like a whole thing. And it was a really, really, really beautiful story. And yeah, Reminders of Him, such a great book to start off with. People also on Book Talk hate on Colleen Hoover. I don't give a crap. She's a great author, period. Point blank. Another romance novel that I feel would be really great if you're just starting reading, there's a book called The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. And this is a STEM romance. So it's based on like scientists and everything. And this was just such a great book to get out of your mind and to put yourself into another world. I'm not a scientist. I'm literally in the world of marketing and social media for a living. So this book got me out of my current world and put me into another one, and I really, really, really enjoy that. This one, I literally said, this one lives up to the hype. So many people were telling me to read it, and it got me straight into my feels. Who doesn't love a fake dating to falling in love plot? There is a thing that is like a fake dating plot that a lot of books like to use, and I love the fake dating plot because typically the fake dating, they always end up falling in love. They're always kind of enemies to lovers, a very like, not Beauty and the Beast themed, but you know how Beauty and the Beast, they were like enemies and then they became like, okay. I love those types of novels. The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. It was just such a fun and different little change of just like a STEM romance, scientists falling in love, and I freaking loved it. This one I recommend to so many people that are starting to read. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This one's a really great one to read in the summer months. I wouldn't necessarily say reading it within the winter months is like fitting of the mood, you know what I mean? But if you want to think of summertime, I highly suggest this. It Happened One Summer was a spicy book. It Happened One Summer, I did say that it's slow to start, but it's really, really great. And an overall viewpoint is the girl, her name is Piper. She was kind of exiled from her family because she was a social media star. She was super popular on social media. Think like a Paris Hilton type of person that was just getting in so much trouble. And so her family ships her off to a town where there are crab fishermen, and they're just fishermen. And this one's a big grumpy sunshine one where there is this fisherman that lives in this town in Washington, and he is just so annoyed by this girl because she is so different from the current town that they live in. And he ends up helping her fix up this shop and fix up this bar that is her family's bar that was just totally run down. They just find themselves on a beautiful journey where Piper is trying to figure out who she is outside of this celebrity culture, and I think his name's Brennan or Brendan. Brennan or Brendan, one of those, helps her out and helps her figure out the town, and he's a fisherman, and really just helping Piper get her head out of her ass, essentially, which is a really, really great one. And then there's a second book in the series called Hook, Line, and Sinker. That one is that girl. That book is that girl, okay? That one, spicy, okay? Every single person that I have told to read It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker, they all got hooked on reading. You're welcome. Start with those two if you want a like summer vibe. Another one by that same author, Tessa Bailey. Tessa Bailey is a rom-com-y writer. It's funny, it's cheeky, it's cute. There's not a lot of like crying happening whenever I'm reading it. She truly likes to take me out of my head and put me into like a rom-com, and I love that. So the next one is called My Killer Vacation. My Killer Vacation is the perfect mix of crime and romance. I didn't write a lot on Goodreads, but My Killer Vacation is essentially about this girl and this brother that goes on vacation, and they are on this street, and they find out one of the homes on the street, something happened in it. There's like crime scene tape, there's all this stuff, and a bounty hunter gets hired to work on said crime, And the lead character of the story, what's her name? I don't remember what the girl, Taylor's the lead character. Taylor goes and she sees what this bounty hunter is doing and is like, what are you doing? And she really wants to get involved. And the bounty hunter is like, stop it, stop it, stop it. And they end up teaming up to solve this murder. And they also end up falling in love. And it's just a great mix of crime and romance. And I thought that it was so cute, it was so cheeky, and it was so spicy. Icebreaker by Hannah Grace is a hockey romance. I am a huge hockey romance fan, okay? I love a sports romance, and Icebreaker, you guys, this book, they get started almost immediately into the romance, immediately into meeting each other. And this one is a very more fast-paced book in terms of less of a slow burn of like, oh, he brushes her hand about, you know, 25 chapters in. This one is like chapter 4, there's stuff going on, okay? And Icebreaker, it's just such a great one. It's about a hockey player and a figure skater. And things happen where they both have to start practicing on the same rink because the two rinks that they were doing in their college town, one of them broke. They need to start practicing on the same rink. And it's like a hockey captain and a figure skater. And they are amazing. The lead character, Nate, that is the guy, everybody's obsessed with him. Everybody is obsessed with him. Everybody is obsessed with him. Such a great guy. And this book does have predictable twists, but sometimes it's just nice to read something that doesn't have you so on the edge of your seat. Icebreaker, super easy reading, such a fun read, very rom-com vibe. Absolutely love it. And now we're gonna move into fantasy novels. I don't want to give you guys too much stuff because I could literally sit here and talk about books for like an hour and a half and have this video be an hour and a half, but I really want to have this be for the people who don't know where to start. So now we're gonna get into fantasy novels. Jesus. Fantasy is books that happen outside of this world. And there are things within the storyline and where they live that are not like the world that you currently live in. That is what fantasy is. Books that are fantasy that you wouldn't think about. Harry Potter is a fantasy book series. Twilight is a fantasy book series. Hunger Games is a fantasy book series. It is taking you out of your current world that you live in and putting yourself into another world. So we're gonna get into fantasy books. And of course, I like romantasy. So we're gonna talk about some romantasy, fantasy, all of those things. The first book, everybody already knows. I'm going to recommend Fourth Wing. Oh my God, my sweatshirt is literally Fourth Wing, Basgates War College. And Fourth Wing was the book that got me into fantasy reading. I did not think that I would like fantasy at all. I really didn't. The book Fourth Wing is about a college called Basgates War College. And it is a college where people go in to be paired with a dragon. Yes, it's about a dragon college. People go in to be paired with a dragon to be on the front lines of their military for this world that they live in, for this town that they live in. And how people get paired with dragons is they go through a series of challenges. And this book takes you through a series of challenges with this girl named Violet, who is the underdog going into this college. She is significantly shorter than everybody, significantly more frail than everybody, and she just did not have the proper training going in. She's also a part of a lineage of families that are super popular and are super well known within this like dragon riding place, that whenever she goes in there, everybody's like, what are you doing here? Everybody knows you're not supposed to be here. So she's like public enemy number one in the college, and you follow her throughout this series of events of her being paired with a dragon, going through these challenges knowing that they're not going to survive. So you meet a lot of people within the book series, and then they don't survive a challenge, and then you're left kind of like, oh my God, like what is going on? You don't know who's gonna survive. You don't know who's gonna get paired. You don't know the roller coaster of emotions that you're about to go on. But Fourth Wing is such a great book. Dragons, I literally didn't shut up about dragons for 2 full weeks when I read this. And there's a second book called Iron Flame. People don't love Iron Flame. That one is a very hard book to read, but I highly recommend going from Fourth Wing right into Iron Flame. But Fourth Wing is one of those books that's like, I'm not a reader, but I read Hunger Games. I'm not a reader, but I read Twilight. I'm not a reader, but I read Fourth Wing, is something I feel like a lot of us are gonna start reading. I also have not read a lot of fantasy books, so I'm just putting this out there, but I do recommend all of the ones that I've currently read. Book series, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I feel like we have to talk about this in terms of, you've never read, you wanna get into reading, A Court of Thorns and Roses is such a great book series. Keyword, series. It is such a great book series. It is one of those series that I know for a fact is going to get some sort of movie deal, Netflix deal, Hulu deal, some type of deal to go from a book on screen, because it is that good, it is that captivating, it is awesome. So A Court of Thorns and Roses is about this girl named Feyre, who is also very much so the underdog. And she is a human, she lives in the human world. And there is this fantasy world where there are fairies, and there are these people called Fae who are almost immortal beings. They don't age, they don't, you know, whatever, and they have a particular look to them. They're all beautiful, they're all tall, they all have the most stunning aura about them, is how it's always described. So a human, a poor human that got all of her money taken away from her, she's out hunting one day, she kills a creature, and she didn't know that that creature was actually from this fairy world. And because she killed that creature, she now owes the fairy world something. So she gets taken away by somebody in the fairy world, and we are now taken into this world where there is a lot of war. There are a lot of curses put on people that need to be broken, and you find out that the people that she is with and that she is around are all trapped by this person. They're all trapped by this leader called Amarantha, and Amarantha has a chokehold on these people, and Feyre is coming in and she's learning about this world, and it's essentially the story where you're finding out Feyre wants to help these people. This human girl wants to help these people out, and you are taken on a beautiful story of how this human girl helps out these fairy and immortal beings. A Court of Thorns and Roses is the first book. Okay, what is crazy about this book series is that you read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and in the second book, which is called A Court of Mist and Fury, you are taken into a different part of this world, and almost everything that you read in book one, in book two, you read it from a different perspective, and you're like, how am I reading this now? And it is so different from the perspective in the first book. I now have to take everything that I read from the first book, flip it upside down, light it on fire, and think to myself, what am I reading and why am I addicted to it? That is this book. That is this book series. There is, in this book series, a lot of war. There is a lot of romance. There is a lot of hilarious banter, but the books are long. They're long. And one of the things that you have to push through with fantasy novels is this thing called world building. It is boring. It is awful. It is, you know, whatever, but you have to read about world building to understand the plot. And once you get through the world building, it is such a great story. A Court of Thorns and Roses is such a great book series. There are 5 books in that series, so don't come to me when you get addicted. Do not come to me when you get addicted. But those are the 2 book series within fantasy that I currently recommend, because those are the ones that I read, that I love. I am still fully on my reading journey. I don't know what I'm doing. I still have so much to read, but it makes me so excited. So I hope that those 2 books help you out. Thank you guys so much for watching this YouTube video. I know that this is something a little different, but I do want to start posting more books and more reading content, and I love connecting with you guys on books. So if you have any recommendations of books to read or books that you feel that you would recommend for a first-time reader, please put what you recommend for first-time readers in the comments down below. We can all help each other out because my reading style might not be yours. What would you recommend? Because honestly, I kind of want to read them too. So put them down in the comments down below, and if you've made it to this portion of the video, you also go down there and read the comments. And if you made it to the portion of this video, thank you so very much for watching. I'm glad that I was able to keep your interest for a little bit. And I'm so excited to be posting more reading stuff and just more about my journey with reading, because it is something that I love so dearly. My Goodreads is always listed in the description down below. Please subscribe if you're new here, if you want to see some more videos. I post days in my life videos a lot, and just, you know, dilly-dallying around the city of Orlando. And I have my Instagram and my TikTok also listed in the description down below. I'm quite literally everywhere. Wherever you want to find me, just type in Shannon Marie and I'll probably be there. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you have a great rest of your night or day whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.